Now, because my last video was on the realities of living in Mexico, I knew I had to make a counter on the realities of living in the US, because a lot of closed-minded Americans love to pretend that the US is the best country to live in. And why? Because there's fast food on every corner and you get to buy a bunch of shit you don't need? No. America, you need a reality check.
Well, I'll tell you what, Beaver.
The American
Dream is dead.
No! When you're accustomed to a certain cushy lifestyle, it's really easy for Americans to say that other countries are behind in the times, or to go as far as calling places shitholes. But the truth is, you are so far up your own ass that you don't have the ability to see the broader perspective that distracts you from the hard realities that you live in that you don't want to face. So in this video, I'm gonna get into that. This video is very much for those that look at the US through the glamorized lens of Hollywood movies and music videos and dream to live there. And even more so, I dedicate this video to the average American that looks down on the so-called developing countries, having never traveled outside of their state, let alone the country. Let's get it. To be clear, we do not have a housing crisis, we have a greed crisis. We've been made to believe by strategized talking points on media by a controlled opposition that our fellow community members that end up on the street are there because they're worthless subhumans. They'd rather do drugs, they're lazy, they don't want to work. When the truth is that we are allowing greedy corporations, millionaires and billionaires to buy up large portions of housing and land so that they could turn it around for a higher profit, or sit on it empty, using them as a long-term investment. Housing is treated as a luxury product, a privilege, and not a human necessity, and landlords are allowed to continually raise rent, often without a cap or work put in. This is not normal. This is not freedom. This is not progress. This is greed, plain and simple. And this is the collapse of a society that has gone too far in putting profit over everything because capitalism incentivizes us to do so. People aren't on the street just because they don't want to do anything. People are on the street because they are treated as disposable. Veterans, the elderly, the mentally ill, the neurodivergent, the physically disabled, the so-called low-skill minimum wage workers, those who've survived all kinds of abuse, kids who've lost their parents or escaped bad home situations. This is who is on the street. We do not treat people in America like humans. We are viewed as workers, drones, numbered servants. And when we cannot fit into this inhuman mold, we are thrown to the streets and deemed unworthy of life. Everything is poison. And it's not by accident, it's by design and neglect. Toxic chemicals, routinely dumped into the water that we swim and fish in.
Walmart also admitted to illegally dumping hazardous waste right into the local sewer system or even trash bins.
That we shower with, that we drink, and then we just add more chemicals to make it drinkable. And I say drinkable, not safe. Chemicals are also added into the food we eat during the growing process, then again to prepare it for being on a shelf. The food is so overly processed to the point that when people are trying to eat healthy, whole foods, we now have to question if it's even real meat and not lab-grown, or if our fruit and veggies aren't secretly coated in some resin to prevent it from going bad. All of this, and people wonder why we have cancer and health problems. And then, when you're sick, they give you drugs, say it'll make you feel better, make life a little bit more bearable. But it won't heal you. You're so silly. They can't do that. They won't make any money off of you. But you can continue working your life away. If you want to live in the US, you have to be aware that everything you watch is propaganda. And I don't just mean the news either. It's down to the TV shows you watch, the movies, the music you listen to. How pop culture is structured is all subliminally manufactured to make you think and behave a certain way. Remember how I mentioned a controlled opposition earlier? Yeah, all the propaganda in the media, red versus blue, black versus white, men versus women. All of this is one giant play to keep us engaged in fighting each other, to keep us distracted, to keep us entertained. Because yes, even our societal misery is entertainment. Because as we've seen from social media, humans love drama. We love to engage with what makes us angry and emotional. It makes us more invested. And for some reason, we can't turn away from it. Despite all the fucked up shit in our country that many people are now aware of, it still looks a long ways from getting better because this football game of a political environment allows the government to stay in control. Even those that are aware of how all of our media is controlled by the same people still get sucked into it. And I get it, it's hard not to. I do too. It is really hard to just be detached when you, those you love, and who you empathize with is all being attacked, their rights being threatened, their lives being threatened. How could you not react? And they know this. Human psychology, our empathy, the way our survival instincts work, all of it is being weaponized against us. So we have no actual culture. Americans have been put through a variety of factors that have led to a very fear thy neighbor mindset.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
From propaganda to physical separation from our neighbors and just straight up the consequences of this society, many Americans have no clue who it is they're living near. And they're even scared to go out and meet new people, especially younger generations. Now, social media plays a big part of it, but another huge part of it is people are fucking tired. We have spent our whole lives in institutions that don't give a fuck about us. We got the school to prison pipeline. We're trained to be workers and not humans. We're taught to work all day and spend money on convenience because we don't actually have the time to do anything for ourselves. So that's why you have so many people relying on fast food or Uber Eats or Amazon so that maybe you could go home and sleep or enjoy the short amount of free time you might have during the day or on the weekends if you have weekends. Most people don't have time to build community because they're too tired from trying to survive. American culture is hustle and consume because it'll make you feel better, but not really, you're still empty.
Mass consumption makes you the most powerful giant in the land. And the money you earn gives you the purchasing power that makes you a real giant. So the loose money in Ed's pocket usually doesn't last for long. Then how can Ed Smith, consumer, maintain a savings account and still make all the big purchases that support the nation's industry? How can he plan on sending a boy through college and still buy these major appliances? And minor ones as well.
I know consumerism was a thing before, but after World War II is when it really ramped up for us. I can't trace back exactly who started this mindset, but it became a way of advertising. A citizen would be a good patriot for their beloved America if they consumed as much as possible to keep the economy thriving. Buy more, buy new, buy better. It was echoed again after 9/11 when Bush told people to go out and shop, go to Disney World, support the economy.
This work begins with keeping our economy growing. And I encourage you all to go shopping more.
We have become far more concerned about the economy rather than the health of our country and our people, which is really ironic considering this consumer mindset was born out of the Great Depression and rationing from world wars. And now we find ourselves in an even worse state than the Great Depression. Culture is a set of values, beliefs, norms, customs passed down through generations and evolving organically. It's the things that bring us together. It's the natural human state and its expression. In the US, we come together in bars, clubs, stadiums, and with alcohol. We get fucked up, say thank God it's Friday, and forget about how tired and miserable we are for 48 hours and tell ourselves that we're having a good time. We buy the new nice things that we think will make us happy, and we look the other direction at what we don't have but our neighbors do. We told we're free and that all we do is by our own will. But is it really? If you zoom out, we're just a bunch of rats in a box with a predestined set of boundaries, work, reward, punishment, and entertainment to keep us satisfied to a point, and we're told that we have it all, while our handlers are looking down on us, molding the container to fit the purpose of their needs. Our culture of hustle, drugs, alcohol, gluttony, sex, distraction, overconsumption. This wasn't something that we chose. It was a lifestyle that was manufactured for us. Well, maybe in the beginning it wasn't a choice, but once you become aware of the history of the US and the power dynamics, the way we terrorize the world, the truth, and instead of rejecting it, you gladly participate and submit anyways, well, now it's a choice. There is so much more that could be shared about the US, but before I cross the line of getting censored, I'm gonna just end it right here. I know I highlighted a lot of the negative, but there is hope for a better world. There are so many people already building a better world, like myself, my network, and you could join. And it doesn't require you moving across the world and joining a hippie commune. Though if that's gonna make you feel alive again, by all means. But what it does take is a total lifestyle and mindset change and active participation in your community. And you could do it where you're at right now, or the next town over if you really don't feel like it'll work in your hick town. But I'm telling you, it's possible, and you have to believe that. If you live outside the US and you were thinking about coming here, just please rethink what it is you really want. You want to make money and party? Yeah, this is the place for that. But it's not easy and it's not sustainable. People come and they lose themselves. It's really not welcoming here, especially in the cities. They're fucking vortexes, and if you don't go in with intention, it is gonna eat you up. I have met plenty of immigrants that come to the US, they miss home, they're just here to get their bag and get out. They do not want to stay here. If that's the plan, just don't forget where you came from and what your land provides, because it's really not all about money, despite what Hollywood sold you. But yeah, that's it for this video. Stay tuned for more shit like this.
Look, I don't take no losses, simple. Stand up, guy, want 10 toes.